Hey, and welcome back to JBC English Learning Academy. My name is Laura, and I'm here to guide you on your journey to clear, confident, and natural English. If you truly love Jesus, like the video, subscribe to the channel, keep watching the video believing in Jesus, you will learn something good, and comment to let us know what you are watching. Your support truly helps this channel grow. Alright, take a deep breath, relax, and let's begin today's session. I want you to imagine that you are standing with me at the edge of a quiet town, a small place where the houses look peaceful during the day but mysterious at night. And this is where our long story truly begins. The story that will travel across places, across memories, and across the heart. A story told slowly, gently, and clearly, so that your English grows with every breath of narration. And as the voice of JBC English Learning Academy guides you, I want you to simply walk with me, step by step, word by word, and allow the images to form in your mind. It is late evening in the story, and the sky is covered with low, heavy clouds. The kind that tell you rain is coming, but you do not know when, and the air smells of wet earth even though the first drop has not yet fallen. The town is small, with narrow streets and houses that look almost the same, but only one building catches the eye, an old library, standing at the far corner of the street, with tall windows and a wooden door that looks strong yet worn out by time. The story begins with a young man named Daniel, a quiet person, thoughtful, curious, someone who never speaks too loudly, someone who always notices the small details around him. He grew up in this town, and he knows most places well, but the library has always been a mystery to him because, for years, it has been closed. No one enters, no one leaves, and when people speak about it, they speak in soft voices, not because they are afraid, but because they do not know what lies behind the door. Daniel has always passed by the library on his way home, always wondering why such a beautiful building is left alone, closed, silent, forgotten. But on this particular evening, something feels different. Not strange or scary, just different, like when you sense that life is about to change, but you cannot explain why. Daniel walks slowly along the street, his jacket pulled tight because the wind is cold, and the first drops of rain finally begin to fall. He hears them before he feels them, a light tapping sound on the roofs around him, like fingers knocking softly. He looks up at the sky and sighs. He did not bring an umbrella. His house is still far away, and the rain is growing stronger, so he looks around for shelter. The closest place is the old library, with its tall roof and wide entrance. Even though the building is closed, the small roof above the door can protect him for a moment. He runs toward it, stopping just in time before the rain turns heavy. He steps under the roof and takes a deep breath, listening to the rain falling all around him, the kind of sound that makes the world feel like it has slowed down. He looks at the wooden door, the same door he has seen for years, and suddenly he notices something surprising. The door is not fully closed. It is opened by a small crack, a very small one, but enough for him to see a thin line of darkness behind it. For a moment, Daniel freezes. He wonders if someone is inside. But it seems impossible because the library has been locked for years. He hesitates. His heart beats a little faster, not from fear, but from curiosity, the same curiosity he has always carried with him. He steps closer, slowly, and places his hand on the door. It feels cold, colder than he expected. The rain falls harder behind him, making the street disappear behind a curtain of water, and he knows he cannot walk home now. He must wait a little longer. So he gently pushes the door, just enough to look inside, and to his surprise, the door opens easily, almost as if it had been waiting for someone to touch it. The inside of the library is dark, but not completely. A faint light comes from somewhere deep inside, soft and warm, like the light from a small lamp. Daniel hesitates again. He knows he should not enter. It may belong to the town or to someone he does not know, but the open door feels like an invitation, or maybe a gentle call, not loud, not urgent, just a quiet whisper saying, "Come look." The rain grows louder behind him, and he takes one step inside, then another. As soon as he enters, the air changes. It feels old, but in a peaceful way, like the air that belongs in a place full of stories. He closes the door behind him to keep the rain out, and the sound of the storm becomes softer, like a faraway memory. Daniel stands still for a moment, letting his eyes adjust to the dim light. The library is large, with wooden shelves that reach almost to the ceiling. Dust floats in the air, moving gently like tiny snowflakes. The smell of old books fills the room, and something about it makes Daniel feel calm. He walks slowly, following the faint light. As he moves deeper inside, he begins to see more details. The tables are covered with books stacked in small piles, as if someone had been reading recently. Papers lie scattered across a desk, but not in a messy way, more like someone paused their work and planned to return soon. Daniel touches the surface of one of the tables, and the wood feels smooth under his fingers. The room feels alive, not abandoned, not forgotten. Then he sees the lamp. It sits on a small desk in the corner, glowing softly. Beside it lies an open book, its pages yellow with age. Daniel steps closer, and as he does, he feels something unusual, something difficult to explain. It is a feeling like memory, but not his memory, like a story is trying to reach him before he even reads it. He looks at the open page. The writing is neat, old-fashioned, the kind of handwriting you see in letters from many years ago. He tries to read the first line, but the letters are faded. He leans closer. To the one who enters during the rain, the words stop him. He straightens his back and looks around. Who wrote this? How did they know someone would enter on a rainy evening? He reads again to be sure he saw it correctly. Yes, that is exactly what it says. To the one who enters during the rain. He continues reading slowly. This place will reveal what you seek, even if you do not yet know what you are seeking. Daniel feels a strange warmth in his chest. He is not afraid. Instead, he feels something else, like someone understands him, someone who knows his mind even without meeting him. He whispers, "What I seek," but his voice sounds small in the large room. He looks at the rest of the page, but the ink is too faint, and he cannot read more. He tries turning the page, but the next page is blank. Completely blank. He flips several pages, and they are all blank as well, white and untouched. Only that first line exists. He steps back slowly, his thoughts moving in many directions at once. He wonders if the book belonged to someone who lived here long ago. He wonders why the message felt so personal. He wonders why he felt called to read it. Daniel walks back into the center of the room, his eyes moving across the shelves. All the books seem old, but some look special, with golden titles on the spine or strange symbols carved into the leather covers. As he looks at the shelves, something unexpected happens. One book, a small one with a dark blue cover, falls from the top shelf. It does not fall fast or heavy. It simply slides off the edge and lands on the floor with a soft thud. Daniel jumps, startled. He waits for a moment, but the room is silent again. He walks toward the fallen book. It has no title on the cover, no name, no mark. He kneels down and picks it up. The book feels warm, surprisingly warm, as if someone had been holding it only moments ago. He opens it, and inside he finds something that takes his breath for a second. The pages are filled with beautiful drawings, skies, forests, rivers, mountains, but one drawing catches his eye more than anything else. It is a drawing of a door standing alone in the middle of a forest, with rain falling around it. The door in the picture looks almost exactly like the library door outside. Daniel runs his finger slowly over the drawing. The rain in the picture looks so real that he almost feels the cold drops on his skin. Under the drawing, written in small letters, he sees a short sentence: "Every door opens for a reason." The words make him feel a quiet shiver, not fear, but the feeling you get when you know something important is beginning, even if you cannot explain what it is. He whispers the sentence softly: "Every door opens for a reason." The library feels even more alive now, as if listening to him. He stands up, holding the book, and at that moment, he hears a sound. It is a soft sound, not frightening, just a small noise from another room, maybe the sound of a chair moving or a book being closed gently. Daniel looks toward the hallway at the back of the library. A part of him wants to walk toward the sound, and another part wants to stay where he is. But the rain outside continues to fall heavily, and inside this quiet place, something tells him the story has only just begun. He takes one slow step toward the hallway, then another. The floor under his feet creaks lightly. The air grows even older, like the breath of history. He walks past shelves and tables and reaches the entrance to the hallway. It is narrow and dark, but at the end he sees another door, slightly open, with a warm light coming from inside. He knows he should be cautious, but he also knows he cannot turn back now. Something inside him pushes him forward, the same curiosity that brought him here. He reaches the door and gently pushes it open. Inside is a small room, even quieter than the main hall. A single window lets in a soft glow from a street lamp outside, creating long shadows on the floor. In the center of the room stands another desk, and on the desk is a small wooden box. Daniel approaches it slowly. The box is old, carved with delicate designs. It looks like it holds something important. He touches the lid carefully and lifts it. Inside the box lies a key. A small, beautiful key made of silver, with tiny marks carved into it. Daniel picks it up and holds it in his hand. The key feels warm, just like the book earlier. He wonders what it opens. As he turns it in his fingers, the light from the window reflects on the surface of the key and creates a small shimmer on the wall. For a moment, Daniel thinks the shimmer forms a shape, a familiar shape, the shape of a door. He blinks and the shape disappears. He closes the box gently and looks around the room again. There is nothing else inside. No signs, no instructions, no hidden messages. Only the key. He slips it into his pocket, unsure why he feels the need to keep it, but something tells him he will understand later. He walks back to the main hall, but when he arrives, he notices something different. The lamp that was glowing softly a moment ago is now off. The room feels darker, almost like it has changed while he was gone. The drawing book in his hand feels heavier. He tries to turn on the lamp again, but it does not respond. He looks toward the entrance door. The rain outside is quieter now, not gone, but softer, and he thinks maybe it is time to return home. Yet another part of him wants to stay longer, to look more, to search for more clues. But he knows he must return tomorrow. Something deep inside tells him the library will be waiting for him. He sets the drawing book on a table and walks toward the exit. As he opens the door, he feels the cool night air on his face. The rain has slowed to a light drizzle. He steps outside and closes the door gently behind him, but just as the door closes, he hears something from inside the library. A soft click, like a lock turning. Daniel freezes. He tries the handle, but it does not move. The library has locked itself again. He stands there in the soft rain, staring at the door, wondering what kind of place reacts like a living thing. He touches his pocket, feeling the shape of the silver key. He knows he has entered a story much bigger than he expected. And he knows the story has only begun. As Daniel walks home through the quiet, wet streets, he keeps thinking about the message in the book, the drawing of the door, the key, the way the library seemed to respond to him, the way everything felt like it was prepared for him before he even arrived. He does not understand it yet, but he feels something powerful, the beginning of change. The kind of change that starts slowly, softly, quietly, like rain at night, and then grows into something that transforms everything. And as he reaches his house and steps inside, he knows one thing for sure. Tomorrow, he will return to the library. Because every door opens for a reason. And this one opened for him. The next morning arrives quietly, the kind of morning that feels gentle and slow, as if the world has not yet decided what kind of day it wants to become, and Daniel wakes up with the memory of the library still strong in his mind. Clear like a story he lived in a dream but knows was real. He lies in bed for a moment, listening to the faint sounds of the town waking up, the soft hum of a car passing on the wet road, the distant call of a bird searching for breakfast, the gentle rustle of wind moving through trees still wet from the rain. And as he listens, he touches his pocket where he placed the silver key the night before. He had fallen asleep holding it, not because he wanted to, but because he kept thinking about the library, the book, the message, the drawing, the strange feeling that the place somehow recognized him. He rises slowly, stretches his arms, and feels a quiet excitement inside him, a warm energy, not loud but steady, like a soft flame burning in his chest. He prepares his morning routine almost without thinking, brushing his teeth, washing his face, eating a small breakfast while his mind stays busy imagining the library hallway and the way the book fell from the shelf as if it knew he needed to see it. He wonders if the library will be open again. He wonders if the door will still be unlocked. He wonders if the key he found is meant for something inside the library or somewhere else entirely. He finishes his meal, grabs a light jacket, and steps outside. The sky is clear now, with patches of blue showing through soft white clouds. The smell of fresh rain still lingers in the air, giving the morning a new, clean feeling, like the world has been washed overnight and is ready for something new to begin. As Daniel walks through the town, he notices people moving around in their usual routines, opening shops, sweeping sidewalks, greeting each other with friendly nods, but he feels different from them today. Not because he is special, but because he is carrying a secret no one else knows. A door that opened for him. A library that came alive. A key that seems to hold a story. His steps become faster as he gets closer to the familiar street where the library stands. The building appears just as it did last night, tall and quiet, the wooden door closed firmly, giving no sign that it ever opened for him in the rain. Daniel moves closer and touches the handle gently. It is cold and solid. He pulls, expecting resistance, and the door stays locked. He tries again, pushing this time, but it does not move. He sighs softly, but he does not feel disappointed. He takes out the silver key from his pocket and looks at it in the sunlight. The metal shines brightly, showing the tiny carvings along its surface. He does not know where the key belongs, but something inside him whispers that the library has more than one door. He steps back, looks at the building, and begins to walk slowly around it, observing every corner, every window, every shadow. The library is larger than he realized last night. It extends farther back, hidden behind trees and bushes. He walks along the side, hearing the crunch of leaves under his shoes, and notices that the windows here are higher and narrower than the ones in front. He reaches the back of the building and stops. There is another door. It is smaller than the main entrance and made of dark wood, almost black, with no handle, no sign, no visible lock. For a moment, Daniel wonders if the key fits here. He holds the key up to the door and examines it more closely. The carvings on the key resemble small curves and lines, almost like waves or wind. He presses the tip of the key lightly against the door, and to his surprise, the wood reacts. A faint glow appears, soft and silver, spreading across the door in thin lines that match the designs on the key. Daniel steps back in shock as the glow grows brighter, forming a shape right in front of him, the shape of a keyhole that was not there before. He hesitates for only a second. His heart is beating fast, but not from fear. It is excitement, curiosity, the feeling of stepping into something bigger than his usual life. He places the key into the glowing keyhole. It fits perfectly, and when he turns the key, the door opens with a soft click, as if it has been waiting a very long time for someone to return. The inside of this back room is dim, even darker than the main hall was the night before, but Daniel takes one careful step inside and lets his eyes adjust. The smell is different here. It is not the smell of old books. It is something older, deeper, like the smell of earth and stone and time. The room is small, round, with walls made of smooth stone instead of wood. There are no shelves here, no tables, no lamps, only a circular pattern carved into the floor. Daniel bends down to look at it more closely. The carvings form a large circle with symbols around the edges. Some look like stars, others like drops of water, others like leaves or flames. He touches one of the symbols gently, and the stone feels warm under his fingers. He stands up and steps into the center of the circle, and then he hears it. A whisper. Not a voice speaking clearly, not something he can understand, but a soft whispering sound, like many pages being turned at the same time, or like wind moving through tall grass. It is gentle but continuous, coming from the walls around him. Daniel freezes. His breath becomes shallow. The whisper grows slightly louder, but it still does not sound frightening. Instead, it sounds like the room itself is speaking, trying to tell a story too old and too large to put into words. He slowly turns around, listening carefully, trying to catch a pattern or a direction, but the whisper seems to come from everywhere at once. The air feels heavier now, thick with meaning. Daniel closes his eyes for a moment, and when he does, the whisper suddenly becomes clearer, not in words, but in feeling. He feels a sense of welcome, a sense of recognition, a sense that he is not the first to stand in this room and will not be the last. He opens his eyes again, and the whisper fades back into silence. He stands still, unsure of what he experienced, but he knows it was real. Something in this room responded to him. Something old. Something wise. He steps out of the circle and approaches the wall. It looks smooth, but when he touches it, he feels tiny movements, like vibrations under the stone, as if the wall is breathing. He pulls his hand away quickly, surprised. He tells himself not to be afraid. He came here because curiosity called him, because the library called him, and now that he has seen this room, turning away feels impossible. He looks around again and notices something he missed when he first walked in, a small shelf carved directly into the stone wall. On the shelf sits a single object, small and square, wrapped in a piece of fabric. Daniel walks toward it slowly and lifts the cloth. Underneath is a small wooden frame, and inside the frame is a picture. It is a drawing, not a photograph, and it shows a person standing in front of the same library, holding the same silver key in their hand. Daniel's heart stops for a moment. The drawing is old, very old, the colors faded, the edges yellow, but the figure in the drawing looks strangely familiar. Not because he recognizes the face, but because the posture, the way the person stands, feels like him. The person in the drawing is wearing a long coat, not modern, but something from another time. Behind the person, the library looks exactly the same. Daniel touches the frame lightly. His hands feel cold now, as if the drawing has pulled the warmth from him. He wonders who the person is. A librarian? A traveler? Someone who opened the same door many years ago? Someone who heard the same whispering walls? He feels the whisper again, soft, brief, almost like someone saying, "Look deeper." He turns the frame around and sees words written on the back in small handwriting. Every seeker becomes part of the story. The sentence sends a quiet chill through him. He whispers it aloud, slowly, trying to understand. Every seeker becomes part of the story. Does that mean he is part of it now? Does that mean the drawing shows a past seeker who found the same door? Or does it show something else entirely? He sets the frame back on the shelf carefully and steps away. The whisper fades again, almost disappearing, but Daniel feels like the room has given him something important, even if he cannot explain what it is yet. He walks back toward the door, but before he reaches it, he feels the floor vibrate gently under his feet. He stops and looks down. The circular pattern on the floor begins to glow softly, the symbols lighting up one by one, starting with a star, then a drop of water, then a leaf, then a flame, like a slow and rhythmic pulse. Daniel steps back, unsure what is happening, but the light grows stronger, filling the room with a golden warmth. He shields his eyes for a moment, and when he looks again, the symbols are no longer glowing, they are moving. Not physically, but visually, like the carvings are shifting shapes, turning slowly as if alive. The whisper returns, louder now, still not in words, but filled with urgency, not danger, but purpose. Daniel takes a deep breath. His legs feel weak, but something inside him tells him not to run. He steps closer to the glowing circle, and as his foot touches the edge, the light gently wraps around his shoe like soft water moving around a stone. Daniel kneels down and places his hand on the glowing surface. He feels warmth, a deep warmth that travels up his arm and into his chest. He closes his eyes again, and suddenly, an image forms in his mind. Not a memory, not a dream. An image that feels like a message. He sees a forest, dense and green, with sunlight shining through leaves. In the center of the forest stands the same door from the drawing, the door surrounded by rain. Except in this vision, the door is glowing softly, and the rain around it looks almost silver. Daniel reaches for the door in the vision, but just as his hand touches the surface, the image fades quickly, like smoke disappearing in the wind. He gasps softly and pulls his hand away. The glowing light begins to fade, the circle slowly returning to normal stone, the whisper growing softer and softer until it becomes silence again. Daniel sits on the floor for a moment, breathing slowly, processing everything that just happened. He is not scared, but he feels small, like he has touched something much bigger than himself. He stands up and looks around one last time before stepping out of the room. As he closes the back door behind him, the keyhole disappears, fading into smooth wood, leaving no sign of the hidden room. Daniel looks at the key in his hand. It still glows faintly, as if holding the warmth of the room inside it. He walks around the library and reaches the front door again. Still locked. But now he knows the library has many secrets, and he has only seen the beginning. He sits on a bench nearby and watches the building, letting the cool morning air calm his racing thoughts. He thinks about the vision of the forest. He thinks about the drawing of the door. He thinks about the message, every seeker becomes part of the story. He wonders if the library is guiding him somewhere, or showing him something he must learn. He wonders what the next step is, and when it will reveal itself. As he sits there, the sunlight slowly moves across the street, and Daniel feels something change inside him. Clues follow the whispers, follow the story that has chosen him. He stands up slowly, one hand in his pocket holding the warm silver key, and he walks home with a new feeling in his heart. The feeling of a seeker. Daniel spends the rest of the day moving through his usual life, but everything feels different, as if the edges of the world have shifted slightly and the colors around him have become brighter, softer, or deeper in a way he cannot fully describe. He tries to focus on simple tasks, tidying his room, reading a book, doing small chores, but his mind continues to drift back to the library, to the whispering walls, to the warmth of the glowing circle under his hand, to the vision of the forest and the shining door standing in the rain. It plays in his mind like a quiet movie he cannot pause, a movie that whispers, "Come back. Come look again." Every time he thinks about ignoring it, something inside him moves, like a string being pulled, gentle but certain. By the afternoon, the sky turns cloudy again, though not heavy like the night before. Daniel steps outside and walks down the street, not because he planned to, but because his feet moved before his thoughts did. He walks slowly, hands in pockets, eyes on the ground, until finally he reaches the small path behind the town, the path leading toward the forest he saw in his vision. He stops at the entrance. The trees rise tall and silent, their leaves rustling softly in the wind. Daniel has walked this path many times in his life, but today it feels different, as if something is watching him, not in a scary way, but in an aware way, like the forest knows he is coming. He takes a step into the woods, and the air changes immediately. It becomes cooler, calmer, filled with the scent of earth and leaves and deep time. He looks around slowly. The forest is familiar, yet not familiar. He hears birds in the distance, the soft flutter of wings, the quiet crack of a branch. His footsteps sound louder than usual, echoing gently through the trees. As he walks deeper, he notices something strange. The forest seems brighter than he remembers, even though the sky is gray. It is as if the light inside the forest is not coming from above, but from the forest itself. Daniel feels the silver key in his pocket grow warmer, not hot, just warm, like it knows where he is. He takes it out and holds it in his palm. The key shines faintly, even under the shadows of the leaves overhead. He feels a soft vibration from it, like a heartbeat. He whispers, "What do you want me to see?" But of course, the key does not answer. Instead, the wind moves gently through the trees, and Daniel feels a soft pull in one direction, not a physical pull, but a quiet sense inside him, like a compass pointing the way. He follows the feeling deeper into the woods. The path disappears, replaced by soft moss and fallen leaves, but Daniel does not feel lost. Every step feels guided, as if the forest is showing him where to go. After a while, he comes to a small clearing. Sunlight breaks through the clouds for a moment, shining down on the center of the clearing where an old tree stands. It is taller than the others, wider, with a trunk that twists like ancient rope. At the base of the tree lies something unexpected, an old wooden sign half covered with moss. Daniel kneels down and brushes the moss away. The wood is weathered, nearly falling apart, but he can still read the faded letters carved into it. "Do not enter forgotten ground." Daniel frowns. He has walked through this forest many times and has never seen this sign. He wonders why the townspeople would mark this place as forbidden. He looks around, but nothing about the clearing looks dangerous. It feels peaceful, almost too peaceful, like a place untouched for years. He steps closer to the old tree and gently places his hand on the trunk. The wood feels warm, almost like breathing skin. Suddenly, the key in his other hand glows brighter for a moment, a quick flash of silver. Daniel gasps softly. He closes his fingers around the key and steps back. The wind grows stronger for a moment, blowing leaves around the clearing, and Daniel feels another whisper, not from the walls of the library this time, but from the forest itself. It is a soft sound, low and deep, like the voice of something old and patient. He hears it not with his ears, but with his mind. A feeling, a message. Look deeper. He turns slowly, searching for something he may have missed, and suddenly he sees it. On the far side of the clearing, partly hidden behind vines and branches, stands something tall and flat. Daniel walks toward it carefully. As he gets closer, the shape becomes clear, a wooden surface, weathered and dark, leaning slightly forward. When he pulls the vines aside, his breath catches in his throat. It is a door in the middle of the forest. A door with no walls around it, no building attached to it, no frame other than the wood holding itself upright. The door looks almost exactly like the one from the drawing in the library, the same dark wood, the same tall shape, the same old markings carved lightly into the surface. Daniel steps closer, his heart pounding with surprise, with wonder, with fear, with excitement. He reaches out and touches the door. The wood is cold, but it vibrates gently under his fingers, like the library floor did when the symbols glowed. He whispers, "This is real. It's really real." He steps back and looks at the door carefully. There is no handle, no visible lock. But as he holds the silver key in his hand, he sees the same faint glow appear across the wood, the same glow that appeared on the hidden library door. Slowly, gently, lines of silver light draw themselves onto the door's surface, forming a shape, a keyhole. Daniel's pulse races. He looks around the forest, half expecting someone to appear and explain everything, but he is alone. Completely alone. The wind stops. The forest becomes silent. The key in his hand grows warm again, warmer than before, almost as if encouraging him. Daniel steps closer. His hand shakes a little, not from fear, but from the weight of the moment. He raises the key slowly. The keyhole glows brighter. The forest seems to hold its breath. And when Daniel places the key into the keyhole, something begins to happen, something he cannot yet understand. And as the key slides fully into the glowing keyhole, Daniel feels the air around him change in a deep and powerful way, like the entire forest shifts a little, not forward or backward, but inward, as though the trees themselves are leaning closer to watch what happens next. He hears a soft sound, not like a normal click of a lock opening, but more like the first breath of a long-sleeping creature waking up after many years. The door trembles gently under his hand. Daniel steps back, eyes wide, heart beating fast, because the door begins to open by itself, slowly, silently, smoothly, swinging outward as if moved by invisible hands. Behind the door, there is no room, no building, no darkness. Instead, there is a soft silver light, glowing like morning fog touched by the sun. Daniel stares into it, unable to understand what he is seeing. The light is not blinding. It is warm, gentle, alive. It moves like waves in water, slow and soft. He feels a breeze coming from the other side of the door, a breeze that smells of rain and leaves and something else, something like memory, something like a story he has not heard yet but somehow already knows. He reaches his hand forward slowly. His fingers touch the edge of the light, and he feels warmth, not heat, but the kind of warmth that feels like comfort, like being welcomed home after a long journey. He steps closer, and the moment his foot crosses the threshold, even though there is no physical threshold at all, everything around him changes. The forest disappears. The clearing disappears. The door disappears. For a brief moment, there is nothing but silver light all around him, glowing softly like a dream made of fog and moonlight. Daniel feels himself floating or falling or maybe rising, he cannot tell. The light wraps around him in a gentle, swirling motion, like a soft wind carrying him somewhere far yet familiar. And then, slowly, shapes begin to form in the light. Colors begin to appear. Sounds begin to grow. The silver fades into green. And Daniel realizes he is standing in a forest again, but not the same forest he entered. This new forest feels older, much older, with taller trees, brighter leaves, and deeper shadows. The air smells richer. The ground feels softer. The wind sings through the branches like voices from another time. Daniel turns around quickly, expecting to see the door behind him, but there is nothing there. Just trees, vines, and sunlight falling through high branches. He touches his pocket, and the key is still there, still warm. He whispers, "Where am I?" But the forest does not answer. He takes a slow step forward, then another, listening carefully to every sound around him. There are birds singing, but the songs are ones he has never heard. There are insects buzzing, but their rhythm feels different, almost musical. The air feels lighter, as if the world here is made from a different kind of breath. Daniel walks slowly, carefully, turning his head from side to side, trying to take in everything at once. He feels no danger, only wonder, and a deep sense of being watched not by something threatening, but by something ancient and aware, like the forest itself has eyes. As he moves deeper between the tall trees, he notices the ground slope downward. The path becomes softer and greener. He sees a stream ahead, clear and bright, flowing quietly over smooth stones. When he kneels beside it and touches the water with his fingers, it feels cool and alive, like liquid light. The moment his fingertips touch the surface, the water shimmers gently, almost like it recognizes him. Daniel pulls his hand back, startled but not afraid. He whispers softly, "This place is alive." He stands again and follows the stream, letting it guide him the way the key guided him earlier. The forest grows quieter as he walks, but the silence is not empty, it is full of presence, full of hidden stories waiting just beyond the edges of his hearing. After some time, he notices something in the distance. A shape. A tall, thin structure between the trees. He moves closer, slowly, quietly, and as he does, the shape becomes clearer. It is another door. But this one is not made of wood. It is made of stone, carved with patterns and symbols that look like the ones he saw on the glowing circle in the secret room of the library. The stone door stands alone in the forest with no walls around it. Daniel walks around it and sees it is flat on both sides, like a thin slice of stone standing upright, impossible and yet real. When he touches it gently with his fingertips, the stone feels warm, almost soft, like it has a pulse. Under his fingers, he feels tiny vibrations, like a beating heart. He steps back slowly, unsure of what this door means. It is not like the wooden door in the clearing. It does not glow. It does not open. It simply stands silently, waiting. Daniel looks down at his pocket. He takes out the silver key. It glows faintly, but does not heat up as it did with the first door. He holds the key toward the stone door, but nothing changes. The door remains silent. He steps even closer, his face only inches away from the ancient carvings. The carvings twist and swirl across the stone like a language from another world. He whispers, "What are you?" And just then, a breeze moves through the trees, soft and steady, circling around the stone door like an unseen hand turning the pages of an old book. Daniel closes his eyes for a moment because the breeze feels familiar, just like the whispering he heard in the hidden room behind the library. When he opens his eyes again, something astonishing happens. The stone door glows faintly, but not from the key, not from anything he is doing. It glows on its own, from deep within, like the memory of a distant light that has slept for centuries. Daniel steps back again, watching with wide eyes as the carvings shine softly, not fully bright, just enough to reveal their patterns clearly. The glow fades slowly after a few seconds, leaving Daniel in silence again. He breathes out slowly and feels something settle inside him, a thought, a realization, not clear enough to explain, but strong enough to feel. This forest, this place, this moment, they are connected to the library. Not just by magic, not just by mystery, but by story. A long story. An old story. A story he has now stepped into. He sits on a fallen log across from the stone door and looks at it quietly. The forest hums around him, soft and ancient. He lifts the key again and studies its tiny markings. They're the same style as the carvings on the stone door. The same curves. The same lines. The same language. Daniel whispers, "This is only the beginning, isn't it?" And even though the forest does not speak aloud, he feels the answer inside him like a warm breath on his heart. Yes. He closes his hand around the key and stands up, slowly, carefully, with a quiet determination in his chest. He does not know why he is here. He does not know what the doors mean. He does not know who built them or what they want from him. But he knows one thing with absolute certainty. He must keep going. He must keep following the story. He turns away from the stone door and walks deeper into the forest. The trees seem to open a path for him. The ground feels steady. The air feels alive. And under everything, in a place he cannot see but can deeply feel, something waits for him. Something important. Daniel walks deeper into the ancient forest, guided not by a clear path, but by a quiet feeling inside him, a soft direction that seems to rise from the trees, from the air, from the earth beneath his feet. The forest is alive with color and sound, yet everything feels strangely gentle, as if the world here is speaking in whispers so he can learn slowly, step by step. The light filtering through the trees looks warmer now, almost golden, even though the sky itself stays hidden behind a thick ceiling of leaves. As Daniel moves forward, he notices something changing in the atmosphere. The forest no longer feels completely unfamiliar. There are small details, shapes of bushes, patterns of roots, curves of branches that remind him of his own world, the forest behind his hometown. It feels like the memory of his forest, but older, deeper, and more magical, as if he is walking not into a new place, but into the past of his own world. He stops when he hears something unusual, a soft echo. It sounds like a footstep, but the sound does not come from him. It comes from somewhere ahead, faint but clear, like someone else is walking in the forest, just a few seconds behind or ahead of him. Daniel freezes, listening carefully. The echo continues one step, then another, then another. Not fast. Slow. Patient. Almost purposeful. He looks around, but sees no one. The echo fades, then returns, then fades again. He feels his heart beating faster, but not from fear. It is curiosity again, strong and warm. He whispers, "Hello." His voice carries softly through the trees, and then something unexpected happens. His voice comes back to him, but not as an echo. It returns as a different voice. A softer voice. A voice that sounds like it belongs to someone gentle and distant. Daniel freezes. "Hello," the voice says, repeating his word but not matching his tone. It sounds older. Wiser. He takes a step forward and calls again, louder this time. "Who's there?" The forest stays quiet for a moment, so still that Daniel can hear his own breath. Then the voice returns, faint and almost musical. "Who's there?" Daniel swallows. It does not feel dangerous, but it feels important. He continues walking, following the sound, and as he moves deeper, the forest begins to change again. The trees grow wider, their bark covered with faint glowing lines that look like veins carrying light. The ground becomes smoother and more even, as if countless footsteps have passed through this path long before Daniel. He notices another strange thing. The air around him carries a soft vibration, a gentle humming sound beneath everything else. It's subtle, but once he notices it, he cannot unhear it. It's the same sound the whispering walls of the secret room made, the sound of something ancient speaking in a language beyond words. The path opens into a wider area, not a clearing but a circular space surrounded by trees whose leaves shimmer with a faint silvery glow. In the center of this space stands a stone structure, only waist-high, shaped like a short pillar. The surface is flat and carved with symbols that look like waves and spirals and tiny stars, the same kind of markings that appeared on the stone door earlier. The pillar glows faintly, as if waking up from a long sleep. Daniel approaches slowly, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. He places a hand gently on the top of the pillar, and it becomes warm under his touch. The symbols begin to brighten. The humming grows louder. Daniel steps back as the symbols start to move, swirling slowly across the pillar's surface, forming new shapes, almost like living handwriting telling a story. The air around him hums softly, and the echoing voice returns, not from the forest this time, but from the pillar itself. "Seeker," it whispers. The word vibrates through Daniel's chest. He shivers, not from cold, but from the weight of the moment. The pillar continues. You walk the path of echoes. You follow the memory of the world. Daniel stares at it, unable to speak. The voice sounds neither male nor female. It sounds like a blend of many voices, a chorus speaking as one. The pillar glows brighter, and the symbols swirl faster. You carry the key. And the key carries your story. Daniel looks down at his hand. The silver key glows again, brighter than before. He lifts it slowly, unsure what to do. The pillar responds by dimming the surrounding forest, pulling his attention entirely to the glowing shapes on its surface. One symbol rises above the others, a door with rain falling around it. The same image from the drawing in the library book. Daniel reaches toward the symbol unconsciously, drawn by instinct more than thought. When his fingers touch the symbol, everything shifts. The forest grows brighter, sharper. The trees around him blur and stretch like melting reflections, then snap into new shapes. Daniel gasps. The forest is showing him something. A memory. A story. A vision. He stands still, unable to move, as the world around him transforms into a large open area, covered in mist, with shapes of people moving through it. They are shadows, not fully formed, but Daniel can see enough to know they are carrying books, keys, maps, and strange objects he cannot name. They walk toward a door, the same door he found in his own forest. The door glows brightly, inviting them forward. One by one, the shadowy figures place their hands on the door, and each time they do, the forest hums, the ground trembles, and the pillars around the clearing glow like stars waking from sleep. Daniel stands among the shadows, watching silently, feeling like he is part of the scene even though none of the figures see him. He sees one shadow step forward holding a key that looks almost identical to his. The figure pauses in front of the wooden door, head bowed, as if listening to something Daniel cannot hear. Then the figure inserts the key into the air, into nothing, and a keyhole appears, glowing silver, just like it did for Daniel. The shadow figure opens the door and steps into the silver light. Daniel opens his mouth to call out, but his voice disappears. The vision fades. The forest returns slowly, gently, as if settling back into place. Daniel blinks and touches his face. It feels slightly warm, as if the vision had brushed his skin. The pillar's glow softens. The humming in the air becomes a quiet vibration again. Daniel whispers, "Who were they?" And the pillar answers softly, "Seekers. Before you. After you. Always." Daniel feels a quiet shiver travel through him. "Why me?" he asks. The pillar pauses. Then the voice returns, gentle and deep, "Because the story found you." Daniel steps back slowly, trying to process everything. He looks at the forest, at the tall trees glowing faintly with memory. He feels the key heavy in his hand. And then, from behind him, he hears it again, the echo. A footstep. Slow. Soft. Close. He turns quickly. There is no one there. But the echo comes again, this time right beside him, like someone invisible is standing next to him. He holds his breath. The echoing voice returns, so close it feels like a whisper directly in his ear. "Follow." Daniel spins around, but sees nothing but air and trees. The whisper comes again, from a different direction. "Follow," and again, from behind him. "Follow." The meanings are clear. Something is guiding him. Something is leading him to the next part of the story. Daniel takes a deep breath and nods slowly, as if answering the unseen voice. "I'll follow," he whispers. As he takes his first step forward, the forest reacts. The path ahead brightens. The leaves shimmer brighter. And somewhere far ahead, faint but unmistakable, Daniel hears the soft sound of flowing water, almost like a distant river calling him forward, offering the next piece of the story that waits beyond the trees. Daniel follows the faint sound of flowing water, moving deeper into the forest with slow and careful steps, as if each footstep carries him not only forward in space, but forward in the story that has already begun wrapping itself around him. The forest grows brighter as he walks, not in the way sunlight normally brightens a place, but in a gentle, glowing way, as if the trees themselves give off a soft, warm light that guides him. The echoing footsteps continue behind him, always a little delayed, always following his rhythm. He does not feel fear now. If anything, the echo feels like a companion, a quiet, invisible guide reminding him that he is not completely alone. The deeper he goes, the more the forest changes. The trees grow taller, and their bark shows swirling lines of silver light, lines that look like written characters he cannot read. The leaves above shimmer with a soft green glow, and the air feels lighter, almost musical, like every small movement carries a hidden tone. After some time, the sound of flowing water grows clearer, louder, more present, until Daniel steps out of the trees and stands before a wide river. The water moves gently, but there is something unusual about it. The river glows softly, like the moon is shining inside it rather than above it. Daniel walks closer to the riverbank and kneels down. When he touches the water with his fingertips, he feels a deep vibration, a warm pulse that travels from the water into his hand and then up his arm. It feels like the river is alive, like the water is carrying stories, memories, and voices from somewhere far away. He whispers softly, "What is this place?" The river responds with a gentle shimmer, as if answering without words. Daniel stands and looks around. There is no bridge, no rocks to cross on, no fallen trees reaching across the river. But then he notices something unusual downstream, a series of stones rising above the water. They form a slight curve, not straight like a bridge, but arranged like stepping stones placed long ago. Each stone glows faintly with a silver light, similar to the symbols on the stone door and the hidden chamber in the library. Daniel takes a slow step toward the stones. The echo of footsteps behind him grows softer, but remains steady, as if whoever or whatever is following him stays close. He reaches the first stone and taps it gently with his shoe. It feels solid, warm, alive. He steps onto it, and the stone glows brighter. The river hums softly in response, like a deep musical note vibrating through the water. Daniel takes another step, then another. The stones hold him firmly, glowing brighter with each step. Halfway across the river, he stops and looks down. Through the glowing water, he can see shapes, not fish, not rocks, but shadowy silhouettes moving beneath the surface. They look like figures walking slowly along the riverbed, their shapes bending and stretching with the flowing light. Daniel holds his breath. The shadows do not look dangerous, only ancient, like memories floating beneath the water's surface. He reaches the final stone and steps onto the far riverbank. Immediately, he feels something shift inside the forest. The trees on this side look different, darker, taller, and their leaves shimmer with a strange bronze glow. The ground feels warm beneath his feet. The air is thicker. The echo behind him stops suddenly. The silence surprises him. Daniel turns around to look back across the river. The stepping stones still glow, but the forest on the other side seems quieter, distant, like a memory fading into shadows. Daniel looks around slowly. The forest ahead feels heavier with meaning, as if every tree has been waiting for him. A soft breeze moves past him. He hears a faint whisper carried inside it, softer than before, but still clear. "Forward." Daniel nods quietly. He begins walking deeper into this new part of the forest, and the trees seem to shift slightly as he passes, creating a path just wide enough for him. After a short walk, he reaches another circular clearing. But this clearing is different from the one with the stone pillar. This one feels older and more powerful. At the center stands a tall stone arch, carved with swirling patterns and symbols that rise from the ground to the top of the arch. Daniel notices that the symbols are the same ones he saw glowing on the library floor and on the stone door. The arch does not have a door attached to it. It is open in the middle, just a frame standing alone in the clearing. But the space inside the arch looks different. Though nothing physical fills the archway, the air inside it shimmers faintly like heat rising from the ground. Daniel approaches slowly, feeling the weight of the moment pressing gently against him. He stands just a few steps away from the arch and looks closely at the shimmering air. It looks normal, but it feels alive, like something is breathing on the other side. He lifts the silver key in his hand, and instantly the carvings on the arch begin to glow softly, turning from dull stone to warm golden lines. The glow rises slowly from the base to the top of the arch, and as it spreads, the air inside the arch grows brighter. A soft humming sound fills the clearing, deep and powerful, yet comforting. Daniel closes his eyes for a moment because the sound feels almost like a familiar voice calling him from far away. He whispers, "Where do you lead?" as he steps closer to the bright arch. Instead of an answer in words, the shimmering air inside the frame shifts, and he sees something forming, an image, faint but clear enough to recognize. It is the forest again. But not the forest he stands in. It is the forest from his world, from his home, but seen from a different angle. He sees the clearing with the wooden door. He sees the tall tree with the forgotten sign. He sees the quiet mist that often rises in the early morning. The image looks real, like a window rather than a vision. Daniel steps closer, drawn by the sight of home, but something inside him stops him from stepping through. He touches the air in the archway gently. It feels soft and warm, like touching light. Then the image changes. The forest fades and a new image appears, another place he has never seen before. A wide valley filled with tall, glowing grasses. A distant mountain shaped like a half-moon. A long trail leading beyond the horizon. The image feels important, like a destination. The arch hums louder, the carvings glowing like starlight captured in stone. Daniel steps back slightly, overwhelmed by the shifting visions. He looks down at the silver key and whispers softly, "What do I choose?" And for the first time since he entered the forest, the voice behind him returns, clear and close. Not choose, follow. Daniel turns quickly, but again, no one is there. Still, the voice feels reassuring, like an invisible guide standing by his side. The air around him warms. The arch brightens. The shimmering air inside it becomes steady, solid, clear. Daniel takes a deep breath. He steps toward the arch. The moment he passes under it, the entire forest sighs a soft, deep whisper that feels like the closing of one chapter and the opening of another. The ground beneath his feet glows. The air hums. The key in his hand pulses like a heartbeat. And the world begins to shift again, slowly, gently, drawing him into the next part of the story. The moment Daniel steps beneath the glowing stone arch, he feels the world bend around him, not in a painful way, not in a frightening way, but in a slow, gentle movement, like turning a page in a very old book. The air grows brighter at first, then becomes soft and dim, then bright again, as if the world is adjusting itself to welcome him. He takes one more step, and the ground beneath him shifts from warm soil to something cooler and smoother, almost like polished stone beneath a thin layer of moss. Daniel opens his eyes slowly, unsure what he will see, unsure if he will find himself in his own world again or somewhere completely new. When the light settles, he finds himself standing on a high hill overlooking a valley that stretches far into the distance. The valley is unlike anything he has ever seen. The grass is tall and glows faintly with a soft blue light, like small stars resting on the ground. The wind moves through the grass in long, slow waves that look almost like the ocean breathing. A long trail cuts through the valley, glowing gently with golden dust that floats just above the ground and swirls softly with the wind, like tiny lights guiding anyone who walks there. Far away in the distance stands the mountain he saw before, a tall mountain shaped like a half-moon leaning sideways, its top curved like the blade of a giant stone scythe. The sky above the valley is clear but not empty. It carries long streams of soft light that move slowly across the air, almost like drifting colors, creating a sky that feels alive. Daniel takes a deep breath. The air smells like fresh rain mixed with warm earth, a scent so clean and comforting that he feels his shoulders relax without even thinking. He turns to look behind him, expecting to see the stone arch standing tall in the open field, but instead, he sees something that surprises him. The arch is still there, yes, but fading. The glowing carvings are dimming, the shimmering air inside has vanished, and the stones themselves look less solid. He walks toward it quickly, wanting to understand. As he approaches, the arch grows even fainter, as if it is made of mist or memory rather than stone. Daniel lifts his hand to touch it, but his fingers pass right through it, like touching smoke. He pulls his hand back, startled. The arch continues to fade until it disappears completely, leaving nothing but the soft blue grasses swaying gently where it once stood. Daniel stands still, staring at the empty space. The gateway is gone. The path back is gone. He realizes something quietly and deeply. He is meant to be here now. Not by accident. Not by mistake. This is the next part of the story, and he is already inside it. Daniel looks out at the vast valley again. The golden trail catches his eye. It seems to glow brighter when he looks at it, almost as if reacting to his attention. He steps closer to the trail, watching the tiny golden lights swirl upward like fireflies dancing in slow motion. When he touches the trail with his foot, the lights brighten briefly, then settle. Daniel feels a pull inside him, not a force, not pressure, but a feeling, a gentle instinct guiding him forward. He whispers softly, "Okay, let's see where you lead." He begins walking along the trail, each step causing the golden dust to swirl lightly beneath his feet. As he walks, the valley opens wider around him. The grass rises and falls like waves. Strange birds with long, glowing wings glide across the sky, leaving thin trails of silver light behind them. Small creatures hide in the tall grass, their eyes glowing with soft curiosity as they watch him pass. Everything feels alive. Everything feels aware. And yet nothing feels threatening. It feels like he is walking through a dream that knows he is awake. As he moves, he begins to notice small markers along the trail, flat stones half buried in the glowing grass. Each stone is carved with symbols, the same style of swirling lines and curves that seem to follow him everywhere. He kneels down beside one stone and touches it gently. The carving glows faintly, then fades. He wonders if these symbols mark the path for travelers, seekers like the shadowy figures he saw in the vision. Daniel continues walking until he reaches the bottom of the hill. The grasses grow taller here, reaching halfway to his waist, and they move around him softly as he walks through them. He follows the trail as it curves toward a wide open space where the grass suddenly stops growing. The ground here is covered in short, soft moss the color of deep gold, glowing faintly under his feet. In the center of the mossy clearing stands a tall stone figure, an obelisk shaped like a long, narrow tower rising from the earth. It is carved with the same swirling symbols, but these carvings run upward in long, elegant lines, almost like vines climbing its surface. Daniel approaches the stone slowly, feeling the same warm energy he felt when he touched the stone pillar earlier in the forest. As he gets closer, he hears a sound, a soft, deep echo that seems to rise from inside the stone itself. It is not a voice exactly, but it carries the same kind of presence, like a thought spoken by the world around him. Daniel touches the stone gently with his palm, and it glows beneath his hand. The echo grows stronger, taking shape, becoming clearer, until it sounds like a voice made of wind and memory. You cross the threshold, the voice says, though the stone does not move. Daniel swallows. Yes, he whispers. The voice continues. This is the Valley of Beginnings. Daniel looks around slowly. The valley stretches endlessly, full of glowing life. Why am I here? He asks softly. The stone remains still. To remember, the voice says. Daniel feels a shiver trace his spine. Remember what? The voice answers gently. The story that came before your story. Daniel steps back a little, staring at the tall stone, trying to understand. The wind moves through the valley, soft but steady, and he hears faint echoes carried in the air, whispers he cannot quite understand, like voices speaking from far away. He looks at the golden moss beneath his feet, then at the sky with its drifting rivers of light, and something inside him stirs. A quiet feeling, a memory he cannot name. He closes his eyes for a moment, letting the wind brush against his skin. The voice from the stone speaks again, softer now. The key you carry is older than your world. Daniel opens his eyes quickly and looks down at the silver key in his hand. It glows again, pulsing with a soft silver light. Older than my world, he whispers. Yes, the stone says. And it chose you because you are part of the story that must be remembered. Daniel feels overwhelmed. He walks a few steps away from the obelisk, taking slow breaths, trying to put his thoughts in order. Everything feels bigger than him, bigger than anything he has ever imagined. And yet, he does not feel lost. He feels guided. He looks at the key again, turning it in his fingers, watching the silver surface reflect the glowing colors of the valley. Then, from the distance, he hears something new, a soft, low sound. A rhythmic sound. Like footsteps. But not human footsteps. He turns slowly toward the far side of the valley. Between the waves of glowing grass, he sees movement. A shape. A figure. Something tall. Something approaching. Daniel stands still, unsure whether to move closer or stay where he is. The shape moves steadily through the grass, heading directly toward him. Daniel takes a slow breath. The glowing grasses part gently as the figure steps into the clearing, revealing itself in the soft golden light. The figure steps fully out of the tall glowing grasses, moving with slow, careful grace. Daniel's breath catches as he tries to understand what he is seeing. The figure is tall, much taller than any person he has ever met. Its body is shaped like a person in outline, with a head, arms, and legs, but the details are entirely different. Its skin looks like smooth stone, glowing faintly with patterns of silver lines running across the surface, as if its body is carved from the same material as the pillars and archways Daniel has seen. Its eyes are deep and soft, glowing like warm candles. It has no mouth, no nose, no ears, yet its presence feels calm, wise, and somehow familiar. Daniel takes a step back, unsure whether he should be afraid. But the creature lifts one hand slowly, gently, and places it over its chest, pressing its palm to the glowing lines there, like a gesture of respect or greeting. The lines pulse with light beneath its palm. Daniel hesitates, then copies the gesture, placing his own hand over his chest. The creature's eyes brighten softly. A warm wind moves through the valley, brushing Daniel's face like a quiet encouragement. The creature steps closer, its footsteps soft on the golden moss. When it stands only a few feet away, Daniel feels the air around it humming faintly, as if the creature carries a quiet vibration inside its stone-like body. Then, without speaking out loud, Daniel hears a voice not in his ears, but in his mind. A calm, deep voice. A voice that feels like the echo of the forest, the river, the pillar, the arch-seeker. The voice says gently. Daniel's eyes widen. He takes a slow breath, his heart pounding but not with fear. "Who are you?" he asks. The creature's eyes glow brighter. The voice returns, calm and steady. "I am a keeper of the valley." Daniel swallows. A keeper. The creature's head tilts slightly, almost like a nod. "We watch. We remember. We guide those who cross the threshold." Daniel looks down at the key in his hand. "You mean, people like me?" The creature's body glows faintly as the voice answers yes. "You carry the key. And the key carries the story of your path." Daniel holds up the silver key slightly. The creature's eyes follow the movement. The soft glowing lines on its body pulse, spreading light slowly across its chest and arms. Daniel asks, "Why did it choose me?" He does not expect an easy answer. The creature moves one hand slowly, gracefully, and touches the air above the key without actually touching the key itself. The air glows softly. Daniel hears the voice again. "Because the story found you. And because you listened." Daniel feels a strange warmth in his chest. He remembers the drawing in the book, the door in the rain, the whispering in the library, the soft pull he felt when he first stepped into the forest. "I didn't understand," he whispers. "I still don't." The creature lowers its hand, and the glowing lines on its body fade into a gentle, steady glow. "Understanding comes with the path," the voice says. "You have only taken the first steps." The keeper turns slowly and gestures toward the long trail stretching through the valley. The gesture is not a command, but an invitation. Daniel steps beside the creature, facing the valley. "Where does the path lead?" he asks. The creature's voice responds like a soft echo, "Forward." Daniel lets out a small nervous laugh. That's not much of an answer. The creature's eyes brighten again, almost like a smile. "The path reveals what you are ready to see." With that, the keeper begins walking along the golden trail, moving with long, smooth steps. Daniel follows beside it, feeling strangely safe. As they walk, the golden moss softens beneath their feet, and the glowing dust lifts gently into the air. The grasses around them sway softly, like the valley is breathing with them. Daniel glances at the keeper's body, watching the glowing lines pulse with each slow step. He wonders how old the creature is, how many seekers it has guided before him, how many stories have passed through this valley. After a long while, the trail begins to rise gently up another hill. The air grows cooler. The light in the sky shifts from soft blue to warm gold. A sound begins to grow in the distance, soft at first, like wind moving through hollow stone, then deeper, like the quiet vibration of a giant bell. Daniel looks toward the sound. At the top of the hill, he sees something strange, a circle of tall stone structures rising from the ground, each shaped like a long pillar carved with swirling symbols. They stand in a perfect ring, with glowing lines running up their sides. The sound vibrates from them gently, as if they are singing in slow, low tones. The keeper stops at the top of the hill, looking at the circle of pillars. Daniel stands beside it, staring with wide eyes. The valley below seems to pause. The wind slows. The glowing grasses become still. The air feels thick with meaning, as if something powerful waits inside the stone circle. Daniel asks quietly, "What is this place?" The creature turns its glowing eyes toward him. The voice enters Daniel's mind softly. "This is the Circle of Echoes. A place where past and present meet. A place where stories speak." Daniel's heart beats faster. "Stories speak," he repeats. The creature steps into the circle, and Daniel follows. As soon as his foot touches the ground inside the ring, the air changes. The sound deepens. The pillars glow brighter. Daniel feels something inside him shift, as if the world is lifting a memory to the surface of his mind. The keeper places one hand on one of the pillars. The glowing lines on its body connect with the glowing lines on the stone, lighting up the entire pillar with a warm, soft light. Daniel watches silently, mesmerized. Then, the pillar releases a sound, a low, deep note that vibrates through the air like a gentle thunder. Another pillar responds. Then another. Then another. Soon the entire circle sings, the pillar's glowing lines brightening and dimming with each wave of sound. Daniel closes his eyes because the sound feels like it moves through his chest, through his bones, through his memories. The keeper's voice reaches him again. "Listen." Daniel opens his eyes slowly. The air in the center of the circle begins to shimmer. Faint shapes form, not fully clear, like shadows made of light. They swirl, shift, and slowly become more recognizable. Daniel sees figures. People. Shadows of seekers walking along paths. Opening doors. Holding keys. Standing before glowing symbols. The figures do not have faces, but their movements feel familiar, almost like echoes of the vision he saw in the forest. Daniel steps closer to the shimmering air, watching silently as the figures move through their stories. He sees one shadow kneel beside a stone pillar, just like he did. He sees another step through a glowing archway. He sees another face a tall stone creature, one that looks exactly like the keeper standing beside Daniel. Daniel whispers, "These are the ones before me." The keeper does not speak, but the soft glow of its body is answer enough. Daniel watches the swirling shapes in silence. Then one shadow figure stops, turns, looks directly at him. Daniel freezes. The figure lifts a hand. In its palm, there is a bright glowing shape, a key. A key just like his. The figure holds it forward, letting the glow expand across the air. Daniel steps closer, breath trembling. For a moment, the figure's glow expands across the entire circle, brightening the pillars, brightening the air, brightening Daniel's mind. And then the glow fades. The figure fades. The air calms. The singing pillars quiet. The circle becomes silent again. Daniel stands completely still, breathing slowly, trying to understand what he has just seen. The keeper steps beside him and places a glowing hand gently on Daniel's shoulder. The voice enters his mind softly, warmly. Every seeker walks a different story. But all stories begin the same way, with a step into the unknown. Daniel looks down at his silver key, holding it tightly in his hand. "What comes next?" he asks. The keeper slowly lowers its hand and steps back. The glowing lines on its body pulse like a heartbeat. "The next door," the voice says. And as it speaks, the ground beneath them trembles softly. Something rises from the center of the circle, a pedestal made of stone and light. And on top of it, a symbol Daniel has not seen before. A door. But not just any door. A door shaped like a question. Daniel stares at the pedestal rising from the center of the circle of echoes. On top of it rests a door, unlike any door he has seen before. It is not made of wood or stone, but seems composed of soft light, folding and unfolding like a living sheet of energy. The edges shimmer in colors he cannot name: gold, silver, green, and faint traces of violet that seem to move depending on the angle of his gaze. He takes a step closer, cautious, and instinctively raises the silver key in his hand. The key hums faintly, vibrating in response to the glowing door. Daniel swallows hard. His mind is full of questions. How do you open a door made of light? Does it even have a keyhole? And most of all, what waits on the other side? The keeper stands quietly beside him, its glowing body pulsing softly, like a heartbeat synchronized with the key in Daniel's hand. The creature does not speak, but Daniel feels the presence of its thoughts, calm and patient. It is okay to wonder, the voice says in his mind, gentle and warm. It is okay to ask questions. That is the first step. Daniel nods slowly, though he does not speak aloud. He takes a deep breath and approaches the pedestal, noticing that the light of the door seems to respond to his movement. The closer he gets, the brighter it becomes, but never so bright that it hurts his eyes. The door pulses softly, almost like it is breathing. Daniel circles the pedestal slowly, looking at the glowing edges of the door. He notices that the surface of the light is not uniform. There are patterns, faint spirals, small shapes that seem to twist and turn, forming subtle symbols. He kneels down and touches the pedestal. His fingers feel warmth and vibration, like the stone is alive beneath his touch. "Is this alive?" he whispers. The keeper's eyes glow softly. The voice returns, in a way. Doors like this are not made to be opened by force. They open when you understand the question they ask. Daniel frowns. Understand the question? The voice continues. Every door asks something. Some ask about courage, some about patience, some about truth. You will know what it asks when you are ready to answer. Daniel sits on the mossy ground beside the pedestal, feeling the key warm in his hand. He closes his eyes for a moment and breathes slowly, trying to sense the question the door might hold. The valley around him is quiet. The glowing grasses sway gently. The sky above moves in soft streams of color. For the first time since stepping through the stone arch, Daniel feels still. He listens, not just with his ears, but with everything inside him. The echo of past seekers, the hum of the pillars, the soft vibration of the key, all these sounds mingle in his mind. And then, quietly, like a thought forming from deep inside, a question appears. Who are you when no one is watching? Daniel's eyes snap open. The door shimmers more brightly, almost as if it is alive and responding to his recognition of the question. He stares at the key, turning it over in his hand. Who am I when no one is watching? The question surprises him because it is not about the forest or the valley or the keeper. It is about him, about something inside. He takes a slow, deep breath and thinks. When no one is watching, he hesitates. He has always been quiet about his dreams, careful about his thoughts, afraid to make mistakes. But here, in the valley, with the golden moss beneath his feet and the keeper beside him, he feels free. I am someone who wants to understand, he whispers. I am someone who wants to try. Someone who wants to learn. The door pulses with light, brighter now. The edges ripple like waves in water. Daniel feels warmth spread from the key through his arm. He stands slowly, holding the key out toward the door. The keeper tilts its head, and for a moment, Daniel imagines.